Okay, cool. So let's run the app. Everybody run the application and let's see what state we're in. So we run our app. We have two tabs. We have a plus button where we could show a create post. The create post has two text fields. It has a picker view. So we haven't set up the picker view yet. We set up the picker view, but it has no data yet. There's a submit button. If we go to the second tab, which is where the users will be, we could click on the add user button. A user model presentation shows up. There's a create user. We could put a username. We could select their birth date, and we could say submit. Submit is going to create a new user in our database, or sorry, in our core data stack. What's happening here? Okay, cool. Everybody's up to this point with the application, correct? Yes. Okay. Refresh. What's happening to refresh here? Oh, the app is not letting me submit. Okay, refresh. Good, 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 good. Okay, so let's continue. Our UI is pretty much good to go. Let's start looking at what the core data part of the app will be. So when we started the app, we created a new project. We selected the core data option. That gave us, let me close the assistant editor. Let's all navigate back to the app delegate. So when we created our app, we added core data. That gave us access to a couple things, or a couple boilerplate codes. It gave us access to this persistent store container here. The persistent store container and also the save context, right? So the save context is what we need. Every time we add a new model or we do anything to a new model, a new data object in our app, we have to save it to core data, right? So when you say create new project, you get core data, this is what you get, okay? We'll see how we'll use it as we go into the application. And we'll come back to it, we'll explain the concepts as we go along, okay? So now let's go to our model for the core data model. So in models, actually it's not in models. Our core data model, the XC model, let's go ahead and drag it to the models folder. Just drag it to the models folder here. The core data model.xc data model, just drag it to your models folder. And click on it.
I cannot see.
You cannot see. You cannot see.
So we have, wait, what models are there already? We had those models from yesterday, or did you just put that?
We had those models from yesterday. What we were gonna do with those models, we'll create basic models we are custom with in iOS, not core data models.
All right, I need to set this up differently.
But right now we don't need those models, so we'll delete them. So we're not gonna use those two models. The intention was if we had time, we would create those two models, use those models, and then add core data, but we're not doing that with time against us, right? We're not gonna do that. So at minimum, you should have this core data XC data model. You see it?
Yeah, but I just have to put, but that comes with the project.
That comes with the project when you say add core data.
Okay.
Do we all have that before we continue? Because some fellows did not have it yesterday and we had to restart the project.
So we move it from under the info P list and take it up to
into models.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
And the other ones that are there don't copy what you have?
The other ones that were there, you know what? Just keep it simple. Just delete that because we're not going to use that right now.
Okay.
Just delete it. Move to trash.
Move to trash.
Move to trash. Okay, now let's talk about entities, attributes, and relationships. So everybody click on the core data XC model file. That opens up a new interface we haven't seen yet, right? So as we go through that interface, we'll talk about what everything is doing. As we said earlier, or our app right now, the UI, we have two models we after, a user and a post, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now we want to add that in core data. How we're going to do that in core data is this notion of entity. So, oh man, 1 second, sorry.
You did not have to mute yourself, Alex. This is not that serious. You're still mute.
I know. I have to get the line out.
Okay.
All right. Cool. So we have this new interface here. Now we're about to create two classes. The classes here will be referred to as entities. If I say I want to create a new model, if I say I want to create a new class, they're all the same as saying I want to create a new entity. Do we see entity at the bottom here where it says add entity?
Sorry, Alex, I stepped away for like 5 minutes. Is that all we just did? We added
We haven't added anything yet.
What about the models, coordinated number of facts?
This came with our project.
Okay. Oh, we put that under models? Okay.
Yeah, we just put it into models, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you have a local user and a local post, delete it.
And local post model?
Yeah, the local user and the local post, just delete them.
Just delete them. Oh.
Yeah. So we haven't added anything yet. So far. Cool. All right, so let's talk about entities. If I want to add an entity or if I want to add a new model to my core data or to my application, I have to go down to where it says add entity. Do we see add entity here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so entity, think about entity as a class or an object, okay, or a model. I want to add a new model to my application in core data. How do I do it? I go to the object model here. I go down to add entity. I click on add entity. At the top here, it creates a new entity for me. Do we see the new entity beneath entities?
Yes.
And there I could edit the name of the entity by clicking once on it and changing it to say user. Okay. At this point, I have a user class or user entity in my core data. Okay. If you coming from database, entity is known as tables, right? I have a new table in my database, okay? Again, core data is not a database, but it seems and it works like a database in some instances, okay? So here we have a new model, user. I want a second model, what do I do?
Add entity.
Add entity.
Add entity.
And change the name to?
Posts.
To post. Just post singular, same as when we do class post. It's one post, right? So at that point, I have two entities. I click on user. Now I want to go ahead and add properties to my user entity. When I say I want to add properties, the properties are referred to as?
Fetched property?
Attributes.
Oh, attributes.
Right, so the properties are referred to as attributes, okay? That's like where I'll probably put notes somewhere in my Xcode or somewhere. Entities are classes or models. Attributes are properties, right? So here I want to add some properties on my user, right? My user has a date of birth, so I'll click on the add sign. Do we see the plus sign here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I click on it and it comes up an attribute. I give the attribute a name, so date of birth, DOB. Date of birth, DOB.
And it's type date.
It's going to be type date, exactly. We'll get to the types very shortly, but yes, it's going to be type date.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So we have our date of birth there. That's the name of the property. And Christine says it's going to be of type date. Very good. So we need to give it a type as well. So beneath the type column, you click on it. And those are the types we have. Those are the types that are supported by core data, right? Undefined is not going to work. So you need to say either it's an integer, decimal, double, float, string, Boolean, a date, binary data. I'm sorry?
The double and the decimal?
Yeah, there's double and there's decimal. Double holds more spaces or more characters or more decimals or, right? More floating point numbers, sorry.
Well, I guess, okay.
Is the storage capacity, like a double holds more than a float, an int 64 holds more than an int 32. Yes.
When I added an attribute, it's saying that an attribute must have a defined type. Did I click on?
We haven't completed yet though. If I remove it, go ahead and remove yours. So just click on the minus sign.
There's nothing coming up on the list of like attributes.
Click on, do you have the entities?
Yeah, I have both of the entities.
Okay, click on one of the entities.
Okay, and then
Click on, let me just delete this. Right now you should have empty attributes, right?
right.
Okay, add, do you see the add sign?
Okay.
Click on that.
All right. So then at this point, we're still gonna be there should be errors. I can't really.
Yeah, there should be errors. We're still editing stuff.
Okay.
And we haven't changed the type yet. That's why you got the error.
Okay, because I can't see everything clearly with the screen being tiny.
Oh, right. Sorry.
That's fine. Thank you. Sorry.
You're welcome. So date of birth, and let's go to the type. So the type of date of birth, as Mr. Christian says, is going to be type date. So select type date.
I think Bian wrote a question in the chat.
What's happening here? What about having custom types for attributes? Your custom type would have to be convertible to data. So if your custom type could be converted to data, you would make your custom type either transformable or binary data. If it's small enough to hold on disk, I'll make it transformable. If it's like an image, I'll make it binary data, right? So you need to convert that custom to a data type. Cool. All right. Let's move on to other types here. Yes.
Back in the types, what was the difference between decimal and double?
Between decimal and double?
Yeah.
I'll go with double because Swift works better with double as opposed to decimal here.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. I would stay away from decimal here. I'll just use double. That's more native to Swift. You want to keep your types as native to Swift as possible. So when you're taking it out of core data, you're not doing too many typecasting.
Ah, all right.
Because you have to do typecasting with binary data and transformable, because both of them, either you have to cast it from an NS object to whatever custom type you're looking for. So the less casting you have to do, the better.
Okay, cool.
So we have date of birth. What else we have for a user? User has a name. What type would a name be?
String.
String. So we get string here. Awesome. User has, okay, we'll stop here. The relationship part of it, the part where a user has post, I don't add it here. I add it when I connect the relationship between the user and the post. I'll be control dragging later. When we control drag, this is where the relationship gets added. This is where the user will have a post attribute. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's go to the post
I'm
part
sorry,
of it.
can you repeat that?
Yeah, so a user, like yesterday we said a user has post, right? Right? So we don't add it here in the attribute. We add it as a relationship.
Okay, yep, thank you.
Awesome. Let's go to post. I'll make sure I have all the attributes correct. Okay, let's go to post now. So a post, we have our post entity. Now we need to add attributes for the post entity. So a post has a number, and we said a number is a double. And a post has a title. And a title will be a string. Great. At this point, again, we're not gonna say a post has a user here. That user will come from the relationship, okay? Let's actually talk about the relationship now. So at the bottom right, do you see where it says editor style?
Sorry, I'm still trying.
At the bottom right.
Yeah.
Christian, what did you say? I'm sorry.
I was still just adding my attributes in my post.
Okay, so to verify, we have user has two
When you put
attributes.
it next to each other, then you connect them or something like that?
Ah, you're flying ahead, huh? Okay.
I'm
Wait for us. Wait for us. Don't run away.
just looking.
Okay, okay. So user has two attributes, date of birth and name, and post has two attributes, number and title.
Okay.
Alex, why is like our number double instead of integer?
Because it could be 3.14.
All right. So versioned.
Yulia?
Okay, okay. It's not okay. It's not
Right.
number of posts. It's just like regular. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we could put number fact here, but that's fine. Number is fine. Okay, so the bottom right, do we see an editor style button?
Yeah.
There's a graph visual here, so I could see it as a graph or I could see it as a table like we had before. So if you go to the graph style here, you could start moving things around.
Oh boy.
Did you say, oh boy?
Yeah, it's a lot.
More things in Xcode. That's probably why Xcode crashes so much, right? Okay, so we have a user and we have a post. Everybody sees that?
Yeah.
in the graphical schema UI.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and those are the attributes we added, right? The user has date of birth, and the user has a name, and the post has a number, and the post has a title. So far, so good? Okay, so we love control dragging. So we'll control drag to create a relationship between the user and the post. We'll control drag from the user to the post. So let's go ahead and control drag from the user, control drag from the user to the post. That creates a relationship here. Right now, the relationship, what's a relationship, anybody?
Undefined.
One-to-one.
One-to-one, right?
Wait,
Right
how
now,
do I
the
do that?
relationship, I'm sorry?
Control drag from
Control drag from user to post.
anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. So right now, the relationship is one-to-one. Like we had the brief overview yesterday with the one-to-many relationship. One-to-many, I would have a double arrow. But right now, it's one-to-one, right? Everybody with me so far? So we need to change our relationship once we edit what that is. Everybody has the arrow?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now let us go ahead and change what that new relationship is. We'll change that. So click once on the new relationship so we could edit it. And we'll change new relationship here to post, plural, posts. A user has many posts. A user could have one post or many posts, right? Everybody with me so far? I'm sorry?
How'd you click that?
Just double click on it and edit it. It won't show you like a edit state, but just start typing.
Okay, yeah.
And for the post, the relationship is user, user singular. A post has one user. Ding.
Oh, did I hear that? You didn't hear that.
You heard that ding,
Alex,
right?
how did you change post? I just deleted it at all.
You mean the relationship here?
I
Just
tried
double
to,
click
like,
on it and start typing.
I don't have even new relationship anymore.
Oh, you don't have the relationship anymore.
No, yeah, I had it, but it seems like I deleted just like.
So
trying
just
to edit it.
control drag from user to
Again?
post. Yeah.
Why do people keep saying this one?
Oh gosh,
Did you get it, Julia?
no, I have like now 5 new relationships.
How many arrows do you have pointing from user to post?
Right now, 6 or 7.
Just delete them. So click on the arrow and just delete. Like you could click on the arrow and just delete it.
I just cannot even move my graph anymore.
Is Xcode just slow?
No, I don't think so. I just think I'm new to this part of Xcode.
Okay.
Cannot
Oh,
figure it out.
once you've set it, like made the connection, you can't move it.
Okay, I deleted everything.
No, you
Is
can't
it
move it
something?
anymore. So delete the arrow. You should be like mine, correct?
No, Alex. Now I don't have any user, any post. Should I edit like again
Command Z,
as
Command Z.
entity?
Command Z
Command Z.
until you have the
Okay.
screen very similar to ours.
Yeah, but I have thousands, like 11 relationship. Maybe for me it's easier just to delete and add them again.
Yeah. So delete. When you command Z, you are not able to get back your 2 entities here.
I'm able, but every time I tap something, it's like adds new relationship. Right now at user I have 11, and I'm not able even to move the user graph at all.
Okay. So delete the entities and redo them. If that keeps happening, maybe close Xcode and reopen. And maybe even
Okay.
close Slack too. Like something else is happening there, maybe.
Okay.
All right, so let's keep going. So control drag here, we have our relationship. We said this relationship is post, and we said the post has a user relationship. Ooh, the house is falling down. How is everybody doing? So far, so good?
Yep, hanging in there.
Okay. Let's now click on the relationship and edit. Let's edit the relationship here. click on the post relationship. Actually, click on the users relationship. I want user is fine. So user, click on the post relationship. And we want to have, instead of 2-1, everybody sees 2-1 here in the data inspector, the data model inspector. If I click on post in users and I go to attributes, or rather data inspector, do we see the data model inspector here in the right?
Yeah, but I don't have what you have.
It seems I have to double click post in order to pull that up. Is there a better way to
Oh, okay. It is double click, yeah.
Yeah, but that also makes it so you can edit the relationship name. Is there
maybe point mouse point outside? Greg?
No. I mean, it's all right. It's not that big of a
It's
deal.
not that intuitive, right? Like you click on it, it shows up here. Like this time it did not show up for me. You double click on it, it shows up now.
Yeah, I just don't want to accidentally edit my relationship name trying to pull up those settings.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be fine. You could always change the name later. Okay. But for now, we're just interested in changing the type of relationship.
Fair enough.
Everybody sees the type here, 1-to-1 relationship.
Where should we see that?
Do you see the right panel here?
Sorry, your face is in the way.
Really? Wait, why?
No, on his computer.
Take out my face. Put it as small as possible.
Hold on, I have to double click this again.
Double click on post, or just single click on it. If it doesn't show, double click on it. But in the right panel here, you have 4 tabs. The last one should be highlighted blue, which is the data model inspector.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the bottom, not the bottom, but you should see a type, a row that says type, 2-1. Before we continue, I want to make sure everybody has that, because it's like one of the things you have to create it before we move forward. So if anybody's still having problems, let us know either in chat or verbally before we continue. Chat is nothing's happening. So I guess everybody's good. Everybody's okay here? Thumbs up, thumbs up.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's change 2-1 to too many. And now you should have 1 arrow on the user portion and double arrow pointing to the post. So how does that read? It reads user has many posts, right? But the post has 1 user.
Mm-hmm.
The opposite.
No. You have to read like the title heading, not the one that the arrows are pointing at, but the one above them.
Yeah, so the entity.
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
so the entity, the post entity has a 2-1 relationship to the user.
Okay.
The user entity has a too-many relationship.
Yeah, it's confusing because you look bottom.
Yep. When I learned core data by myself, that's how I felt. I'm like, what's happening here? This makes no sense.
Yeah.
But that's how you read it.
Say it again. Say it again.
So the user, look at the user entity.
Oh my. Okay.
User entity has many posts, correct?
Right.
So the relationship between user and post is 1 to many. Don't look at the user here. That might be a bit confusing, but look at user, and the user has many posts. So if I'm going from the user to the post, user has 1 to many relationship. Eric?
I think I got it. I have my I got it.
Okay.
Honestly. Thank you.
Right. You're welcome, because I was about to go to the iPad to draw some doodles. Everybody good?
Yes.
All right. Okay, cool. We're almost done with the schema here. We could call this a schema because that's where you set up your data models and everything like that. So you could call it a schema, like just working on your schema. And you could have more tables here, by the way. Like the power of core data really comes like being able to add many entities here. Like I could have an X entity. I could have an X entity here, and I could have an X relationship between user and post, and so forth and so on, okay? So that could become like a storyboard in a sense where you're just connecting different models and what's the relationship between those models. Everybody with me? Everybody with me? So when we say core data is an object graph, this is what we're talking about, right? There's objects and there's graph relationships between those objects, right? Okay. Stop me if there's any voids or you guys want me to go over anything. This part of it, we have to reproduce it for our lab.
So is this just like the models, but we're connecting them like relationship? Just is that like the main difference here?
Yes, there are models, very good. We have relationships. This is part of core data. This is the whole definition of core data. You have models, you have objects, and you have relationships between them. Okay. That's exactly what core data is.
All right. So
So if you tell that to the interviewer, you can move on to the next question.
Okay, great.
Right?
Just because the model, so it's like instead of just building two separate models as we have been doing, and using code to connect them.
Exactly.
We're literally connecting their attributes to each other. And
see that guy for explanations there. I love it. This is very good, man. You nailed it.
Okay.
Cool. I would write it down too, because you might not do core data in a couple months. You come back and like, oh, how do I explain this again? This is perfect, right? So you have objects and you have relationships between the connections of those objects. And visually here, it makes more sense too, because you're connecting them and the attributes comes from the relationships, right? All right, awesome.
Alex, did you change anything in the attributes factor?
Yes. For the post, it was 2-1. We changed it to too many. So when you click on post, Lilia?
Yeah.
What type do you see?
Oh, I see. I got it. Thank you so much.
Okay, perfect. That's the only thing we did here. We have other changes to do, but that's actually on the entities themselves.
I've got a quick question.
Yes.
So does like the double arrow essentially mean that user has an array of posts?
Yes, or in core data parlance, it's a set.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an NS set.
All right, cool.
Uh-huh.
I have a question.
Yep.
Why these what we're looking at right now, for me, it's 2 empty boxes.
It's 2 empty boxes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the table part of it.
Okay.
The 2 empty boxes, they have names, right?
Yes, it has post and user.
Okay, on the attributes, do you have attributes?
Yes. Title, number.
Okay, on the user, you also have attributes, correct?
Yeah, name and date of birth.
Perfect. Now, when you click on the graph representation here at the bottom right, you see 2 empty boxes, you said?
Yes.
What does, send us a screenshot of that. Let's see what that looks like in Slack. We'll take a look at what that looks like. Because the 2 boxes have no title at the top, nothing.
It's nothing, yeah.
It might be an Xcode bug. That has to be an Xcode bug. Because if you could see your entities and your attributes, just Slack it out. How are we doing on time? 11:10. Did you Slack it?
I'm waiting for my Slack to open.
Okay, all right. Keep chatting with us in the chat and let us know when you Slack it out so we could take a look.
Okay.
All right, awesome. Anybody else see like empty boxes without any attributes or entity title in the Xcode? All right, that might be Xcode. All right, cool. So let us continue. Click on the post. We have some more edits to do. So click on the post. Your data model inspector should open up. You should see a class heading or class column here showing name, module, code gen, right? Do we see that? Do we see that?
Yeah.
All right. We have some edits to do. So the name is the name. We're not going to change that. Where it says module, click on module and say current product module. Where it says module, just change it to current product module. And where it says code generation or code gen, where it says code gen here, we want it to be manual or none. Okay, so on your model, in the inspector, change module to say current module and change code generation to say manually. We'll manually generate the classes. Okay, there's an editor function. We'll be clicking on it and we'll manually generate the classes and properties we need here because we need code as well, right? So edit that, go to user and do the same. I'll actually let you guys go ahead and do the same. So we're doing the same thing for what we just did for post, do the same thing for the user.
Alex, what's the purpose of this? What are we?
That is to create generated classes for core data. So we'll be able to generate the classes because right now there's no classes in our navigation project, in our project navigator, there's no classes to manage those entities, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So right now we'll be manually creating those classes by changing those options.
Okay.
And then there's a editor function here where it says create manage classes. We'll be doing that next. But first, go ahead and edit the inspector.
Alex, what did you edit? Sorry.
For post, do you see class here for post? When you click on post entity, do you see class here in the inspector?
Okay, I see.
Change module to current module and change code generation to manual. That'll give us the ability to manually generate the classes.
And
So
we're
what
doing
happens
it for both of them, right?
Yeah,
So
both of them. So what happens in core data, every time I add a new entity, I have to regenerate a class. So that gives me the ability to come back here, regenerate the properties, regenerate the class, and then we are good to go. But we'll see how that works right after we complete the user part of it.
Alex, I actually have an error. It says user post must have a destination entity.
User post must have a destination. You did post already, correct? On user, did you do the same thing here? You did current module and you changed this to manual? Okay. And
But
you
I had
built
that error before I did that. So that was actually when I was trying to create like a double error.
Okay. So back like when you're creating this relationship?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's redo the relationship then.
Okay.
Click on the arrow here and delete it.
And it deleted my post.
Command Z. So what you want to do is click on the arrow and press delete. Oh, it actually deletes both actually. A bit
Oh,
bizarre.
it just deleted the arrow.
Yeah, you should just be able to delete the arrow.
And my post doesn't have user.
Your post does not, no, your post is not going to have a user. Your post will have, let's go to the table here. A post only has number and title. Do you have that?
Yeah. I'm saying in the relationship, it didn't have the user. In the
Yeah,
class.
we'll add that now. So just make sure that your tables are good first before we move on. Does your user have a date of birth and name? Okay, cool. Now change your editor style again to graph. And now control drag from user to post. You have a single arrow on each side, correct?
Well, I think the same thing as happened to Yulia is happening to me right now. Cause like, as I'm clicking on the relationship, it adds relationship, new relationship. Now I have 4.
Now you have 4 relationships down here. Oh, down here?
Yeah, in the relationships, like under that error, I have, you know how we double clicked on the new relationship to change its name or something?
Yep, now you have 4.
Well, I actually have 5, yeah.
Can you delete them? Just click on them and delete them manually.
And if I keep on clicking on them, it just adds more and more and more. I don't know how to like stop. Anytime I click on it, it adds one more.
Command Z again until you have no more arrows.
Okay.
Control drag from user to post. What do you have now?
I have new relationship, and do I have to double click on that?
Not yet. I just want to make sure you have 1 arrow on each side.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Below relationships, you just have new relationship, right? Double click on the new relationship and type posts.
Okay, I got it. Post or user?
On the user, it should be post, and on the post, it should just be user.
Okay, I'm gonna change it to user. Got it.
And then when you're done with that, click on post here, and then go change the type to too many.
Okay.
So Tanya, I see your screen. Tanya?
Yes. I closed my Xcode and restarted it, and now it has a weird screen, another weird screen. Initially, it was similar, and I put the connection, but then when I try to click on it to show the attributes and such, that's when it went downhill. I'm gonna put another screenshot because of what it's showing me now.
Currently, okay.
Yeah.
Aaron, you think you could hop on a one-on-one with Tanya and see on her end? Like just redo the entities, like delete both entities, quit Xcode, go back in and redo them.
Okay, sure.
And just let me know how it goes. Cool?
All right, sounds good.
So Tanya?
Yes.
Yeah, Annie's gonna work with you like on a separate Zoom call.
Okay.
And then once you come back, we'll onboard you to where we are.
Okay.
All right, cool. Everybody else good? We have entities, we have relationships.
Yes.
Thumbs up, thumbs up,
Oh,
thumbs down. Okay.
sorry, my error didn't go away, and
Wait, what's the error say?
User.post must have a destination entity.
User.post. So user.post must have a destination entity. And you created that relationship already.
Yeah, like I did what you told me to do, and now I have an arrow pointing in either, like, in both directions. And then I don't have like a double arrow towards the post like you do.
Okay. Do me a favor, share your screen, because again, the more we see that, the better, because we've seen that for the first time. Share your screen and let's see if, actually, you know what? Don't share the screen yet. I don't want the video to actually, don't share your screen yet. One second, hold on 1 second. Don't share your screen yet. That may have affected the video last time. One second. Send me a screenshot of your the model, like this particular model here, and the error that you have.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll take a next break in 20 minutes. So I'll be able to help you before we come back if it's not fixed by then, okay? All right, cool. All right, so let's go to the code generation part of this. So we have our post, everybody updated the current module here and code generation to say manual, correct, everybody?
Yeah.
All right, and for our user, we did the same. And now a minute question. So why do we make this manual here? Because every time we change, every time we add, let me go back to the tabular version of this. Every time I add a new attribute, I need to update my core data classes and properties. Okay, so the ability of doing it manually, it's going to give me the ability to regenerate that class itself. The class will say I add a new attribute here. The class will now have a new attribute as well. Okay, let's generate those and see what that looks like. So click on editor, the very top. Do everybody see editor here?
Yeah.
Click on editor. Do we see where it says create NS object subclass?
Yes.
Click on that.
Do we need to highlight post specifically first?
No, just the one. It's going to give us an option later.
All right.
Yeah. So to the editor, create new manage class. Make sure it's selected here where it says core data number facts. That's the model itself. That's our .xc model. Make sure that's selected. Click next.
Sorry, wait. Switch it back to the other editor style. Then we go to editor. We go to create manage subclass. When we
Just click one of the entities because you won't get the it'll.
Okay, and then we click both of them later.
Yes. So step one, make sure this is checked.
Okay.
Step two, click next. And here we get the option to select both classes or both models.
I didn't see that.
No, we were not there yet.
No, I mean, you said make sure that it's checked, but what did I have to click on for that to be checked?
I mean, it could be checked by default. It's checked by default, so just making sure it's not unchecked.
We go to editor, we go to create.
Editor, create NS manage object subclass. I'm saying just make sure this is checked here.
Got you.
Which it is. Click next. And here you want to select both user and post.
Okay.
Because now we want to generate classes because we have no code yet. Nowhere here we have code that says this is the classes. Yes? Everybody?
That's perfect.
Okay, so now click next. And where do we want to save those? For now, just say number facts. That's fine. We'll move it later. And just say create. Click on the create button. And now we have 4 new classes. We could just go ahead and drag those down to our model section here. Right there, that's fine. So now we have 4 new classes. Let's go through what those classes are. The first class, click on post plus core data class. Do we see that? Post plus core data class?
Yeah.
Stop me if anybody does not see those classes. We should now have 4 classes generated. I'm announcing my campaign for 7.0 ICE. Okay. We should now have 4 classes, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so first click on the post core data class. That is the class that manages the post model, right? And as we said yesterday, it inherits from NS object, NS manage object, okay? Anything that inherits from NS manage object is called data ready. Okay. In our case, now we could write to post, we could change post, and we could save it to core data. Second, we have the properties for the post, right? I'm just gonna stay on 20 to 22. This is all we need to just talk about. So we have 3 entities, or we have 3 attributes. 2 attributes we created in the attributes inspector or the attributes add button there. And one of those attributes was a relationship attribute. Everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So here we have our number, it's of type double. We have our title, it's of type string. We have our user, it's of type user. If we go now to the user class, there's nothing here really for us right now. It's just an empty class, okay? And lastly, we have the properties for the user. We have the date of birth, we have the name, and we have the post. And Kelby, you were asking the question, yes. So now the post relationship, it's not an array, but it's an NS set.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so that's the relationship we created when we control dragged. That's the relationship here. So anytime you want to talk from user to post, or you say user, I want to get all your posts, you just say user.post and you get all the posts of the user. Okay.
Oh, that's cool. So you get all these like built-in functions, right?
Exactly. Now, anytime you add, I also want to, we might not do it in this particular lab, but anytime you add a new attribute in your model here, anytime you add a new attribute here, I need to go ahead and regenerate the class. Actually, let's just do it for testing purposes. Let's do it for testing purposes. So let's go ahead and select command click on the 2 properties, right? The plus properties. Command click on post properties and command click on users properties. Everybody? Hello?
Post properties and
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll be deleting those 2. So let's just go ahead and delete those 2 here. So just delete and move to trash. So right now we have post class or post core data class, and we have user core data class, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If we had to say, go create some more entities here. So for my post, maybe I do a location for some reason. So post, just add an entity, call it location, and just give it a string. And for my user, just give it a Twitter handle and just make that a string as well.
Oh, wait.
What did we add to post?
Post was location.
And it was 10.
I just want to show us how to use this. So if we have to do it, we know how to do it. So post, I added a new attribute, and user, I added a new attribute. And now I do not want Xcode to regenerate those two classes, so I did not delete them. I kept them as is. So here, let's just put some notes here in the class.
You're moving fast.
No, I'm here. I'm just writing some notes.
It was a string.
Which one? Let me go back. This guy?
I don't know. I was trying to, okay, so location is a string, and then user.
User has a Twitter.
A Twitter, which is a string as well.
Uh-huh.
And then what did we do after that?
That's all. Post has a location, which is a string, and user has a Twitter, which is a string.
Okay, because I'm trying to walk yours and do mine because I can't see when it's on this little screen. I have to swipe back and forth.
Got it. Did you delete the two properties?
I did.
Okay, cool. So you have just two classes from core data, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. So now we've deleted that. Let's go back to editor. Go back to editor. So now we need those properties as well. The first time we did not have Twitter, remember?
Yeah.
Okay, so we added Twitter. We're like, hey, we want the Twitter handle for our users. So now we go to editor. We go down to create new NS manage object class, subclass. Goes to the theme motion. This is checked. This is fine. Click next. Make sure user and post is checked.
Alex.
Yep.
I'm only here so I don't get fined. No, I'm just kidding. No, I have to leave. I have to join.
Okay, no worries, no worries. Okay. If anybody needs help, I think we're breaking in 10 minutes, so that's fine.
Okay, cool.
All right, thanks, bye.
Mm-hmm.
So click user, click post, and click next. And click create. And I have
Alex, I have a question.
Yep.
So if we were to add new properties to the core data model thing, would we delete the core data class, the data properties files, and then reinitialize it from the editor every time?
You mean like if you add a new one?
Yeah.
If you add a new one, you just have to regenerate. We have a little bug here. I'll fix it and I'll tell us why it happened. But
okay.
if you add anytime you have a new property, you have to regenerate your core data schema again.
Okay, so yeah, but I'm saying you don't have to delete all of the files, just the two.
Yeah, just the two, but it recreated
property.
it because it put it in that location here, in the same location. Like
okay.
let's see why that happened actually. Everybody has 4 files now, right? Correct? As opposed to 2 files. The point of this is to have 2 files. We have an error here. Let's fix that because we put it in a location where Xcode is like, oh, I don't see any class, so I'm just going to overwrite whatever. So let's actually redo that again. Delete the 4 files that were generated. Just delete them and move to trash. And let's try this.
Deleting them.
I'm sorry?
Why are we deleting them?
We only needed 2. It created all 4. We just want 2 to get regenerated.
So we're deleting all 4 of them.
Yeah.
To do it over?
Yeah, to do it over because I only want 2 to happen, not all 4.
So if we got into the situation, we just need to make sure that the save destination is where the original class files are.
Exactly. Because that's what happened to us here. We just saved it in the top folder. It's a little buggy, but let's try it again. If it doesn't work, that's fine. So let's go to editor, sorry. First, you have to go to the model, click on model, make sure you see your model. Go to editor, go to create manage subclass, next, post and user, make sure that's selected. And go to next. And here, let's see if this second time works for us. Let me move this out of the way.
We have to go to the models.
1 second, exactly. Let's see if
so that way it won't make a copy of it?
Exactly. Let's see if Xcode listens to us this time. So let's navigate over to models. And here we have 2 classes already. So it shouldn't override it, but let's just continue.
You wouldn't just put it where the group is to put models? That's not
that's the group, right? That's in the models group.
Okay, so then let me.
Yeah, we're in the models group. So make sure you're in the models group. Make sure you're in the models.
But no, at the bottom where it says group, it just has the project on your screen above target.
Let me cancel. So I click next, right?
Right.
And I'm going inside of the project.
Here.
And I have models here.
Okay.
You have models as well, right?
Yes, I'm just asking you right there on the bottom where it says group above targets. Why couldn't you just change that to models?
Oh, you mean like right here? Yeah, I could do that. Sorry. Thank you, Tiffany. So models here in the groups models and click create. And here, this is the intention. That's what we're looking for.
Okay.
Okay, just make sure that we subcategorized it, but Xcode doesn't have the technology in place to figure out in the entire file. There's exists in a class already. So just make sure you target the models folder itself. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
So Alex, in my case, it only added the two properties.
Yep, that's all we needed.
But it didn't add it within the models folder. Is that?
That's fine. As long as you didn't create all four, just drag the two back in the models folder.
Because you probably didn't do what Tiffany did.
Yeah, Tiffany said, so what Tiffany said
I
here,
also
so
didn't do that and I had the same thing.
For me, it created all four again within the model.
let's redo it one more time. Let's redo it one more time. Properties, let's take out the two properties, delete that. Move to trash. Let's do it again. Go to the models, go to the model file, go to editor, create, next, post and user, next. And here, select models here. A mini?
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder if that overrides this. And click create.
Okay, now I went to 2.
Did that work for you, Mini?
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see the class we had. And our class stays untouched, right? Because the point of this, by the way, is I could write code here. That code, I don't want to recreate the code. So code in here, we do not want to regenerate.
It's created all four for me. Didn't create just two.
Okay.
In the same folder.
1 second. I'll help you when we go on break to fix it.
I think you have to select the path on the top part and choose.
Yeah, I think you have to do both. Like you have to be explicit.
Yeah.
I did both.
The group.
She said she did both. I'll help you after. Like we have a break coming up. So in the classes, I just want us to write this line of code here. Code in here, we don't want to regenerate, right? So the properties classes we could regenerate because here, look, we created a new property called location. We regenerate that new location. Now we have access to that new location in this class. Well, in the post here, I have access to the location, okay? I don't want to regenerate my class because this particular class here, I could write helper functions in the class. Like we have been doing from unit 1, I could have my class, have my own code in my class, but for core data purposes only, I could just regenerate those properties here, the property classes.
So basically, Alex, you're just saying that once we're adding new attributes like which are properties, we don't want to override any like functionality we had added to the class before?
Exactly. That's all it is. But you should not ever put code in the properties you do not want to override.
Okay.
Basically, don't write any code in the properties that's Swift. Does that help you?
Yes.
So actually, if we write code here, that's just going to get overwritten. That's funny. But everybody, please, here, the only things I want us to take away from this, I could regenerate my properties class as many times as I want. But if I write custom code in here, custom code. If I write custom code in my post, I don't want to override this, right? I only want to override my properties.swift classes.
So in properties, we never write custom code.
Exactly. In properties, we never write custom code. So even though writing a comment there, that could get overwritten too. So don't write a comment there, just write a comment in here. And then when you're ready to override it, just delete those two files and do as we did earlier. Lilia?
Yes.
You want to try again? We'll try one more time and we'll take a break.
Okay.
So let's just, as a class, let's all try again. Let's try to do this again. So we'll delete the two properties, right, everybody? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's delete the two properties, move to trash, go back to our model, our core data model here. Go to editor, create, right? Create subclass, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure this is checked here. It's always checked, but just make sure it's checked. You could accidentally uncheck it. Just make sure it's checked. Click next here, whatever entities you're interested in. Maybe I'm just interested in redoing one entity, right?
Mm-hmm.
The properties for one entity. In our case, we want to do both. So we select both here. We go next. And here, to be safe, just have both of those selected. Wherever your class is, in our case, it's in the models folder. And I also want to make sure it's selected here as well. Right? So both the group, I'm sorry?
Yeah, when I click on the models at the top in the window,
Mm-hmm.
like I just click on the folder, but it doesn't go past like and shows like yours. Right now, I see in the window, it has this blurry user code data, postcode data, and the actual like .exe file.
Mm-hmm.
So when I click at the top on my folder, it's just an empty like window to the right, but there's no like files inside.
So when you click here, right? What option? What does it say?
Where did you click again?
At the top of the dialog here, the drop down, the arrow up and down.
It has models, and then it has models.
So if you click models, in the models is empty.
Yeah.
I want to see what your structure look like. So definitely I'll help you during break.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So models here, that's selected, and then click create. And it creates the two files for us again. Did everybody get that to work?
Yes.
So Lilia will double check what's happening in your end. But just get in the habit, if you're doing core data updates, modifications to your attributes, this is the way you go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, 11:38, let's keep going. Yes.
I have a question. Can you click the user page with the properties?
Can I click the user page with the properties? Oh, sorry, the user wanted the properties. This guy.
Okay, your post says MS set and mine didn't show up like that. I was wondering why.
What does yours show?
It just says user.
Yeah, so the relationship you created, we need to recreate it.
Okay.
During the break, just stay on and then we need to recreate it.
Okay.
Because your relationship, I think it's the reverse way. Like you have user to user, but it should be user to post.
Okay.
What type is it? Is a type user?
For user, yeah, mine says user.
Okay, so we'll just recreate it. It's fine.
Okay.
Cool. Good. Okay.
Is that an NS set because it's a one-to-many relationship?
Yes, because there's no uniqueness there.
No uniqueness?
I mean, sorry, there's uniqueness there. I'm sorry.
Okay. Gotcha.
No duplicates. No duplicates.
Right.
Uniqueness.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So let's take a break, I think. I think we had that time there. We're right on an hour. Let's take a break. I'll help anybody whose core data stuff is not working as far as like the model, and we'll come back. Once we come back, our models is pretty much good to go. We'll start writing code. So basically, that's like the storyboard part of core data. We completed that. We will just keep going and write code out. So let's take a break for 10 minutes and come back at 11:50.